Hey guys, welcome to Global Eye, where we will be talking about geopolitics, geoeconomics, and other important topics from across the globe. Today we are going to talk about the aftermath of the fall of the Assad regime, and what is next for Syria. New Prime Minister Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, the former al-Qaeda affiliate that has just assumed control over Syria, has appointed Mohammed Bashir as the head of a new Syrian transitional authority. Bashir was the prime minister of the HTS-led Salvation Government, which was formed in 2017 and ruled Syria's northern province of Idlib, where HTS was based before the massive Turkish-backed assault against Syria that began late last month. According to reports on Monday, Bashir has been chosen as the new prime minister of Syria, and is coordinating with outgoing Syrian Premier Mohammed al-Jalali, who announced on Sunday that he is ready for a smooth transition and will cooperate with any leadership chosen by the Syrian people. Israel strikes on Syria. With Assad overthrown and Syria in shambles, Israel has declared the permanent annexation of the Golan Heights. The Golan Heights, announced Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, will forever be an inseparable part of the State of Israel. He said that control over this historical Syrian territory guarantees Israel's security and sovereignty and is of great importance. The announcement came as Israel pounded with airstrikes numerous Syrian bases, abandoned army assets, parked warplanes and helicopters, and even naval ships off Latakia. Days ago, Israel began warning that it will use large bunker-buster munitions to begin destroying the former Syrian army's underground missile and weapons storehouses. This has begun in the overnight hours, with Israeli warplanes pummeling air defense systems and ammunition depots in Damascus and the coastal city of Tartus, near where a Russian naval base is located. The strike on Tartus resulted in the single biggest explosion seen in Syria in years, unleashing a fireball and mushroom cloud so large it led to quick speculation it could have been a tactical nuke, which widespread reports are denying. The London-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, SOHR, described that Israeli warplanes hit air defense units and surface-to-surface missile depots as part of a bid to degrade and disable Syria's military capability. SOHR also called it the heaviest strikes on the region in over a decade. The Telegraph wrote that a 3.1 magnitude tremor was reported by the Geographic Survey of Israel's Seismology Department at 11:49 p.m. on Sunday night in the region of the bombings. In total, there have been an estimated 600 Israeli strikes over the course of 8 days. Some of them began immediately upon Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, entering the environs of Damascus as President Assad fled the country. An Israeli broadcast correspondent from Can previously wrote that, "An Israeli source tells me, Israel's goal is to destroy everything from Assad's army that could fall into the hands of the rebels from tanks to missiles. We are destroying the equipment of the Assad army." Fate of Russian military bases. On Monday, the Kremlin disclosed that the fate of its military bases in Syria remains unclear and undecided, following the collapse of the Syrian government, and Assad having fled the country on December 8. There are no final decisions on this, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told a press briefing. "We are in contact with representatives of the forces that now control the situation in the country. Likely Moscow is pressing representatives of Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, which holds Damascus, to at least temporarily give assent to the continued Russian military presence on the coast. The Tartus naval base remains Russia's only Mediterranean military port. And alongside Khmeimim Air Base, these are the only two major Russian military outposts outside the former Soviet Union. They are strategic and crucial for Russia's operations in the Middle East and North Africa, and a full closure of these bases would be a logistical blow in the region for Moscow. It would also signal Russia's waning influence in the Middle East, also at a moment the Pentagon continues occupying Syria's northeast. Moscow has been busy evacuating both diplomatic staff and some military assets from Syria, as Maxar satellite photos show. Since the HTS takeover of Damascus, there have been no reported incidents of Russian troops or the bases coming under fire. However, Moscow forces are on high alert. The last several days have seen huge Russian armored and troop convoys withdrawing from the capital area and some other parts of Syria, headed to the safety of Khmeimim Air Base in Latakia province. Assets like anti-air defense missiles are being flown out, and will likely be repositioned related to the war in Ukraine. And the West is also dangling the terror designation in front of HTS. Some European nations are considering making the expulsion of Russia's military from Syria a precondition for lifting restrictions against the Islamist group now in control of most of the country, according to people familiar with the matter. The Straits Times reports. The West seems to be saying that if HTS merely does what it wants, all can be forgiven. Per the same report, a debate is also underway about whether to make the delivery of longer-term aid to the war-ravaged nation conditional on Moscow vacating its 2 Syrian bases, said the people, who asked not to be identified discussing sensitive material. The talks are ongoing and a joint final decision has yet to be taken, they said. The conferring between countries is a sign of broader international support for the position taken by Dutch Foreign Minister Casper Veldkamp, who said it would be too early to lift European Union sanctions against HTS, which ousted former Syrian President Bashar al-Assad a little over a week ago. The Dutch foreign minister emphasized, "I think it's also important to look at conditionality regarding the Russian military bases in Syria." He's emphatic that, "We want the Russians out." To summarize, it is likely that the new Syrian regime will be in the sphere of influence of Turkey, the US, and Israel. Russia and Iran appear to be the biggest losers, having spent a lot of resources fighting to keep Assad in power. The fate of the Russian bases in Syria also remains unclear. While for Iran the only state in its axis of resistance has now fallen, leaving it vulnerable. The fall of Assad will surely have far-reaching consequences for not only the Middle East but also the entire world. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you found the video informative. See you again later. Peace out.